definitely the type of food we discovered. Once we changed it to a tastier food, it really motivated him to want to be near the machine, and also cutting back on the amount of food he was getting so that he was actually hungry. That made a big difference also.
Recommended daily practice, 2 15-minute sessions. View several steps at a time before proceeding with this training, then review as needed. This section consists of 11 steps, each of which takes 6 to 10 minutes of training time. That means that you can get through this stage of training in just a few days if your dog's already used to working for his meals and his feedings have been adjusted so that he's highly motivated to work for his food. Here's a quick rundown of what you'll be doing. We'll practice in a series of 1-minute trials or repetitions where your dog lies down on his special rug or bed while you reward him so frequently for staying down that he doesn't have time to think about getting up. You'll know when this minute's up because this light, which turns on at the start of each session, turns off at the end of a minute. At the end of 1 minute, you'll target your dog off his rug so that he can start another trial, and you'll target him several times in a row so that he gets practice running back to the treat and train. This targeting step is crucial, and doing it now will cut down your training time for stage 4 by many days. If your dog doesn't target well, you should review the targeting before you start. Once your dog completes 5 of these 1-minute trials in a row correctly at any given level, you can go on to the next step. Make sure you don't cheat by having one big 5-minute trial instead of 5 1-minute trials, or you'll pay the price later. Now we're ready to begin. Take the treat and train and a comfortable rug or dog bed out. From here on, I'll refer to both as a rug. Make sure you use a rug that you only use for this one purpose, so avoid using his regular dog bed or a rug he lies down on regularly. Be sure to choose something that you won't mind having near your front door later down the road. Position the treat and train at the edge of the rug in a way that allows your dog to get treats without having to get up. You may have to prop it up on something if you're using a dog bed. Now let's adjust the settings. Turn the power on and then turn the volume on. Set the downstay switch to cue only. This tells the treat and train to give you an audible cue that tells you when to dispense a treat. Next, set the interval to fixed so that the treat and train will give the tone cue at a fixed or regular interval. Then set the interval time to 3 seconds so that it gives you the tone cue every 3 seconds. In the early steps, you'll be giving treats every 3 seconds, but then you'll gradually increase the interval between treats until your dog is reliably staying down for an entire minute before he gets a treat. Now the settings are complete. At this point, if you hit the downstay button, this light will go on, signaling that you've started a 1-minute session, and the treat and train will then emit a cue every 3 seconds. When you hear the cue, you should immediately press dispense so that your dog hears the tone and gets his treat. You may want to pause the DVD and practice before you try this with your dog. This cue is just a guide. If your dog needs treats more frequently at first, then give them more frequently. If your dog takes longer than 3 seconds to eat treats sometimes, then give the treats less frequently. If your dog gets up, immediately stop giving treats, or you may accidentally reward him for getting up, like so. Instead, end the session early by hitting the downstay button again. Now we're ready to start with your dog. We'll start by just having him lie down on his rug and dispensing treats manually to check on positioning. Make sure his elbows are on the rug and not hanging over. If needed, you can lure him into position with a treat, or you can adjust his position by targeting him. Remember that if your dog already knows the verbal cue down, then the cool way to train is to only use the verbal cue or only the visual cue. Using both together when only one is needed is nerdy.
Zoe, down.
Using either cue when your dog's about to lie down automatically is extremely nerdy. If your dog can stay down for 3 to 4 rapidly dispensed treats in a row, you're ready to start. Some dogs get up each time you dispense a treat at first, though. If your dog gets up, check the positioning of the treat and train. Then continue having your dog lie down each time he gets up. After he lies down many times in a row to get the treats, he'll figure out that it's less effort to just stay lying down the whole time. Once your dog consistently stays down to get his treats, you can go to step 1 of the downstay. Now we'll start our first 1-minute session. For this step, you'll kneel or sit next to your dog's rug. Get your dog to lie down on his rug and then hit the downstay button on the remote. Immediately dispense the first treat and then dispense treats every 3 seconds when you hear the cue tone. When the amber light turns off, signaling 1 minute, dispense a few extra treats so that your dog doesn't learn to tell time and get up on his own at 1 minute. Inconspicuously pull out your target and target him off his rug. Target him several times between each trial in order to provide variety and training, and also to give him vital practice running back to the treat and train. He'll need this for the next stage of training called placing. If you're just training your dog to do a downstay, but don't need to send him to a specific location, then between trials, you can call him away from his rug or use a leash and gently guide him off. Always make sure you target your dog off before he gets off on his own. We want him to learn he has to stay on his rug until we call him off. We want to avoid teaching him that he can get off whenever he feels like it. If he does get up before you're ready, take him back to his rug and have him lie down for 4 to 5 treats, then target him off again. If your dog's been properly prepped and you follow all the steps, your dog will get through this program with relatively few mistakes. When your dog does make mistakes, here's what to do. First, if your dog gets up during the downstay, immediately hit the downstay button to stop the session and also stop dispensing treats. Next, have him lie down on his rug again and restart the session. If your dog does mess up, remember to start your count towards 5 complete trials in a row over again. If you've already practiced down with treats so that you're sure he's used to getting treats while remaining down, you shouldn't be having many problems. If he does get up more than once or twice, it's usually for 1 or 2 reasons at this stage. By far the most common reason is that he's not that motivated for the treats you're using. You can tell because when you offer him something better, he perks up and stares at the treat and train. Earlier, this dog, Lucky, was working for his kibble, but as soon as we brought out the semi-moist chopped dog treats, he refused all dry dog food. At home, he often holds out for people food, and his owners give in. If food motivation is a problem with your dog, stop the session and try again later in the day. Repeat this process until he is willing to earn his meal. Another option is to use a higher value food regularly if it's nutritionally balanced. Otherwise, remember that treats should only make up 10% of your dog's regular daily food allotment. A second cause of errors at this stage is distractions, such as other dogs playing in the house or people entering and leaving the house. You should be in a low distraction environment to start. We'll add distractions later on. Lastly, if you have a high-energy dog, he may need more exercise. It's hard to hold still when you need an hour-long run a day, but you only get out for half an hour a week. Step 2 is similar to Step 1, with the interval still set at 3 seconds, but this time wait until 3 seconds to give the first treat. Down. Stay close to your dog during these trials too. This time at the end of a minute, give a few treats from your hand while your dog is lying down, and then a few from the Treat&Train before you target him off. The treats from your hand can be the same or lower value than what's in the Treat&Train. This will teach your dog that treats from your hand are not a cue for him to get up.
Target.
Then target several times and start another trial. As before, once your dog completes 5 one-minute trials in a row at this level, you can go to step 3. One more thing before we go on. A second reason we occasionally give treats by hand is that doing so prevents food-possessive dogs from guarding their Treat&Train from you. They learn that when you approach their Treat&Train, they get good things from you, so there's no reason to guard. Of course, if you think your dog is food-possessive, you should seek the one-on-one help of a dog behavior expert. Throughout the rest of this protocol, you can occasionally give treats by hand. Most of the treats should come from the Treat&Train, though. In this step, dispense treats every 5 seconds, with the first treat coming at 5 seconds. By this step, you probably don't have to crouch down. Instead, you can sit up to several feet away in a chair. If your dog gets up at this step, it's probably because he's not ready for your change in height. If you think he's going to get up, give him a few treats for lying down, and then while he's eating, suddenly make your move to a sitting position in your chair. Alternatively, you can add in a few trials where you increase the treat rate to every 3 seconds while you sit several feet away in a chair. As usual, at the end of a trial, give a few more treats and then target your dog off. Make sure he doesn't anticipate when he should get off like Ernie here does. Instead, continue giving him treats until he looks stable and then target him off. This procedure works best if treats come frequently, but at an unpredictable rate. When your dog completes 5 one-minute trials in a row, go to the next step. And remember between trials to put the Treat&Train and rug away. In this step, dispense treats every 7 seconds, starting at 7 seconds. This time, at the end of a 1-minute trial, vary your routine so that your dog doesn't learn that certain body posture changes mean he should get up. Here are 3 variations to give you an idea.
Ernie, target.
By varying your body posture, you're actually providing a distraction, so you should time any changes in body posture right as your dog's eating a treat. Notice that because Ernie's received so many rewards for staying in his downstay, he prefers lying down over targeting.
Ernie, target. Come on, target.
This is one reason why it was so important to get a strong target response prior to starting this downstay. If needed, you should review the targeting exercise.
Ernie, target. Come on, target.
In general, if your dog messes up at any step 2 times in a row or more than 3 times overall, you should either stop the session until the next mealtime, change to a treat that your dog likes better, or go back to an earlier step. Your dog's body language can give you a clue as to which plan of action you should follow. For instance, if your dog looks intently at the Treat&Train but fidgets or frequently looks back and forth between you and the Treat&Train as he impatiently waits for treats to dispense, you probably need to go back to an earlier step. These dogs may get up while they're fidgeting, or they may start to look bored and then get up. A second body language giveaway is that if your dog refuses to eat the treats or eats the treats but looks bored immediately afterwards and then randomly gets up with no distractions present, the problem is most likely the food value. You can confirm this by trying a higher value food or halting the training session until the next mealtime. Here are some additional body signals to watch for. You've probably noticed that in the early steps of the downstay, dogs tend to look around a lot like this dog, especially if they're in a somewhat distracting environment. By the 7 or 10 second treat rate, dogs should look more relaxed and be more focused on the treat and train if they're hungry. Even if your dog tends to look at you between treats instead of at the treat and train, he should look fairly relaxed and stable. Don't forget to consider factors such as distractions and low exercise. And remember that your dog may need a potty break or water break during some training sessions if the sessions are running long. Lastly, if you don't pick the rug and treat and train up between trials, your dog may think he can make you give him treats anytime he wants. He'll get on and off the rug whenever he feels like it. If this is the source of your dog's mistakes, start picking up the treat and train and rug at the end of each session. Also make sessions shorter while increasing the number of sessions so that your dog has more frequent, less predictable access to earning treats from the treat and train. In step 5, dispense treats every 10 seconds, starting at 10 seconds. By this stage, your dog should really enjoy lying down. If he's been appropriately prepped to value the treats you're using, then when he sees you with the treat and train or rug, he should follow you as if you're carrying his favorite toy around. Remember to complete 5 correct trials in a row before going on to the next step. In step 6, dispense treats every 15 seconds, starting at 15 seconds. Your dog should look pretty stable and relaxed on his downstay now. At this point, you can train while watching TV or while you're partially occupied by some other relaxing activity. Also, now when you target between trials, follow your dog back to the rug and have him lie down for a few seconds while you dispense several more treats. Then target him off again and repeat. This routine gives your dog practice running to the rug and lying down. We're preparing him for the next stage of training, so practice this several times in between each trial from now on. If your dog lies down crookedly or with his elbows or hind legs off the rug, reposition him by giving him a hand cue, targeting him, or standing him up and having him lie down again. Avoid physically manipulating him. We'll go over this part of training in more depth in the next stage of training called placing. At this point in training, on days when you're thinking about skipping a training session, instead of feeding your dog out of his dog bowl, which you should have tossed away, put him through an automatic training session. Set the treat and train to single treat so that it automatically dispenses 1 treat at a time. Then set the interval to variable and choose a time between 3 and 7 seconds. Now the treat and train is set to dispense treats on average every 7 seconds, but the actual interval varies, which will keep your dog guessing. Now when your dog's lying down on his rug, hit the downstay button so that the treat and train feeds your dog his meal automatically. The treat and train will continue dispensing treats until it's empty, or until you stop the session by hitting the downstay button again. Make sure you're sitting close to your dog so that you can call your dog off his rug when he's finished his meal, and so that you can stop the session if he does get up prematurely on his own. Also, when you do resume a formal training session, make sure you don't skip ahead just because your dog does well on these informal training days. In step 7, dispense treats every 20 seconds, starting at 20 seconds. By now, your dog should love lying down on his rug, and because he's had lots of practice running over to the treat and train while targeting between trials, he should often try to go to the rug on his own, and even sometimes lie down on his own. If he doesn't, most likely the treat value has been too low, either because he's getting too much free food or he's had too much to eat. Watch his expression and see if he's truly motivated for the food, like this dog is. If your dog likes his treats and is still not lying down readily even though he's had lots of practice lying down, check to see if the rug or bed he's lying down on is comfortable. He may prefer a different type of rug or bed. Also, if he has a history of being reprimanded on or near his rug, he may not like lying there, and you'll have to repeat several steps until he develops a positive association with the rug again. We're almost finished, only 4 more steps to go. In this step, dispense treats every 25 seconds, starting at 25 seconds. If your dog's really stable, you can now go on with normal household tasks while you train. Be sure to keep your eye on your dog, though. If he can't stay with these mild distractions, don't worry. Just go back to practicing from your stationary position. We'll add distractions systematically in stage 5 of the training. In step 9, dispense treats every 30 seconds, starting at 30 seconds. At the end of each trial, remember to give several treats at variable intervals and to vary your routine. Also remember that when you have the rug and treat and train out, you should be practicing in discrete sessions and trials. Don't get distracted and let your dog just casually lie down on the rug and then get off on his own, or he may learn that he can get off whenever he feels like it. In step 10, dispense treats at 45 seconds and a minute. Remember to complete 5 one-minute trials in a row before going to the next step. Step 11, treats at 1 minute. This is the last step in this downstay section of the door training behavior. When Fido can repeat 5 trials in a row at this level, he's completed the downstay section. Remember that even on days when you don't have time for a formal training session, training is simple with the automatic training session. Just set the interval to somewhere between 5 to 30 seconds, and then start the session. The treat and train should be on single treat and variable interval mode so that the treats will dispense at an unpredictable rate and so that the treats will continue dispensing until the treat and train is empty. If you're on a long interval such as 30 seconds or you want to get through the meal faster, you can set to multi-treat so that each reward is a jackpot. Stay near your dog during these automatic sessions since we haven't yet worked on distractions. At this point, your dog can do a downstay under normal household conditions, but not with major distractions. In stage 5 of training, he'll learn to perform the downstay even with serious distractions such as visitors at the door.